American style pro wrestling versus Japanese style, and then there's like Mexican styles, a different style as well, right?
Yeah.
How many
Yeah,
different styles of pro wrestling are there? It's bigger in America and bigger in Japan than anywhere else, right?
Well,
But
it's lucha libre is a different thing because when you see anybody in America, boom, they take your arm, they take your left arm.
Mm-hmm.
They always work off the left side, everything you do. Mexico, they work off the right side. Okay, my first time I was in Mexico City, I was in that big arena that has the hole in the roof in Mexico City, the big building.
Yeah.
And I'm in a 6-man tag. They put me in a 6-man tag for some reason. I don't do tag matches. I got 2 Mexican partners who don't speak English, and there's 3 other Mexican guys who don't speak English. They don't even tag over there. You know, you usually have to wait to get the tag. They're just running out of the ring with no tag. It took me like 10 minutes to figure out that you didn't need to tag. Nobody told me. You know, so it was just crazy. But the stuff they do is just like a whole nother level. You know, the Eddie Guerreros and Chavo Guerreros and all these guys, man, they're in Rey Mysterio. These guys are just supermen.
Wild acrobatics.
Yeah, they're and they can wrestle too. I mean, Chavo's the man. He his whole family, you know, was they're legends.
Yeah.
So in the 70s when you were first getting going, how many different organizations were there? Were there like small local places and then there's one big one that was on television? Like how many different organizations were there back then?
Like when I grew up, I saw Florida Championship Wrestling, you know, and that's the only thing I saw, you know.
So that was like a local?
Yeah, it was just a local promotion.
Was it cable back then?
No.
Regular
it was just
TV.
local TV, and we didn't get Channel 17, Ted Turner's cable. And at the time, I didn't know that there was Madison Square Garden, New York territory. That is New York, New Jersey, and Massachusetts. And then there was like Minnesota, Vern Gagne's territory. Then there was Fritz Von Erich, Dallas. Bill Watts had Louisiana. Michael LaBelle had L.A. So there were all these little teeny territories, and all the promoters respected each other. So if Joe Rogan had Texas, I would never come in to Dallas and try to run a show in your area. There are these imaginary boundaries that you don't cross, you respect. That was Vince McMahon Sr.
Yeah.
And he was loyal to all these promoters, and every once in a while he'd send like superstar Billy Graham down to Florida to wrestle, or Ox Baker from New York down to wrestle. And we'd see these guys come in, and I didn't know where they came from. But they'd come in, and the local hero, like Dusty Rhodes, would beat them up, and they'd be gone. So I had no idea how the whole system worked, and all I saw was Florida Championship Wrestling. So after I got in and I figured out all these territories, you know, like I went to Minnesota and wrestled, and I went to North Florida, the Fuller territory, which is Pensacola, and all through Mobile, Alabama, and Birmingham, that small territory. I went to Memphis and worked for Lawler and Jerry Jarrett for a while. But then when I went to work for Vince Jr., and I went back after being fired and having my first run in New York, when I went back in '84 to beat the Iron Sheik, Vince wanted to cross all those imaginary boundaries, you know, and I'm going, wow, this is going to be dangerous. So Vince says, are you up for it? I said, yeah, I'll do it. And so Vince stayed in Connecticut, in Greenwich, in the office, and, you know, then I was booked in Lafayette, Louisiana. We pump our signal in there for like 8 weeks. You know, prime example is Kansas City. I don't know if you ever heard of a wrestler named Harley Race.
Yeah, of course.
NWA champion, tougher than hell, meaner than a snake. Great guy, though, okay? We pumped the signal into Kansas City for 8 weeks. And Harley Race has been there like 18 years. He was the NWA champion. I'm the champion of the world, and he's a very proud and mean son of a bitch. And all of a sudden, here comes this blonde-haired idiot from New York going, hey, I'm the WWF champion. I'm the WWE champion. I'm coming to Kemper Arena. And we're pumped the signal. So I fly into town, and I show up about 2 in the afternoon. My guys call me, Harley Race came down here with a gun. He tried to light the ring on fire.
Whoa.
And had the cops ran him up, and they didn't arrest him. I went, oh, shit. And they told me, Harley said, when I show up, he's going to kill you. So I go across the street, and I go to the Rusty Scupper, this bar, right? And I was notorious at the time for not kind of like being on time, because the matches would start like at 7:30 to 8 o'clock, and they wanted you at the building at 6:30. I'd come rolling in about 9:30, you know, after intermission, and I'd have time to put my boots on, because I don't want to talk about wrestling. I just want to go do it. You know, it's like playing guitar or anything. It's like chess. You think 2-3 moves ahead. And so now I don't need to be at the building early. I damn sure don't want to run into Harley Race. This guy's going to kill me. I'm scared to death of him anyway. I've known him since I was a kid, you know. So now I'm across the rusty scupper drinking bottles of wine. But anyway, like going down to Puerto Rico. First time we go down to Puerto Rico. I've never been to Puerto Rico before. All the boys tell me how violent it is. They cut you. They burn you with cigarettes. They throw everything at you in Puerto Rico. So I'd never been. I didn't need to go. But now Vince wants to go down to Puerto Rico. And Carlos Colon had the territory there for like 30 or 40 years. So here we come. And I go rolling down to Puerto Rico with Cyndi Lauper with me, right? So I go down to Puerto Rico, and we have the match, and we sell at the stadium. Me and Macho Man go back to the room, and we go walk in his room, and his room is trashed. And so all of a sudden, I go, oh, my God, let me go to my room. So all of a sudden, I go to my room, and I don't want to say the guy's name, but when I open the door, he's sitting there, and because he's still really active, and he's sitting there with a gun. He said, if you ever come back here, I'm going to kill you. So, okay. I was going back to Tampa. I hauled ass to the airport. I got on an Eastern Airlines flight, the last one out of town, and flew to L.A. I was supposed to be going home to Tampa. About 4 months later, Bruiser Brody goes down there, has a little argument. The booker calls him into the shower, cuts his throat, and kills him.
Jesus Christ.
So that's down there in Puerto Rico.